Well, hello there. My name is Jake, and today we will be taking a look at some pretty cool and unique redstone sheep farms. I'm really happy with how this thing turned out, and it's not as practical as I originally hoped it to be, but it's still just a cool idea, and not only that, but it looks absolutely amazing. I'm also extremely happy with how this redstone turned out. It's very, compact and pretty easy to build considering how much it has to do. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started here where I sort of show you all how this sheep farm works. So it's a farm that gets you all the different colored wools that you all could imagine. It's very simple to collect. All you sort of have to do here is run around and shear the sheep as you run by, and you just pick up the wool right away. And then do the same thing on the other side and you're good to go. Now this is where the cool part comes into play. So they're all sheared. You can see they're sort of stuck in a glass block over there. However, if we walk up to them and push their button, what ends up happening is they get pushed back and then they drop down right onto a little block of grass. And we can go ahead and do this to each of the different sheep. There they go. They're heading off, dropping down onto their little glass block. Now here's the coolest part. The machine uses the new 1.10 observer blocks to actually test whenever the little sheep eats the grass. So if the sheep eats the grass, it goes ahead, sends out a pulse, make sure it's the correct number of pulses because there's gonna be a pulse whenever it grows back, there's gonna be a pulse when the block moves. So I calculated it so that way whenever the sheep takes its final block of grass there and it actually regrows the wool on its back and becomes colorful again, then it sends a little pulse up, and that pulse is just going to extend some pistons and the sheep will pop up. Look at that, we already have a couple popping out here. And pretty much it's a very cool working sheep farm that can get you wool very quickly. Simply because as soon as they eat the grass, they pop up and pow. They're right up here, you can collect their wool, send them on back down, where they will again be waiting on that block. It's a really cool idea. Obviously it's not too practical. If you guys wanted practical, you might as well just build a little pen and put some sheep in it. But this idea, I just thought it was so fun. And it's definitely a cool addition to anybody's base because, it does work and it will get you wool. It's a bit complex, but it just looks amazing. Oh man, I already hear sheep popping up and oh my gosh, we got another one. All right, this is a yellow color. We'll go ahead and send you back down there. But if we go over here, this is what the redstone looks like for a single unit. So over here, I have 8 different units all lined up. Look at that, we're already getting blue. I haven't changed the tick speed to anything either. It's all, this is how fast they actually work. Popping on up, and we'll send you back down. There you go, awesome. But if we look over here, this is what the machine actually looks like, just the redstone portion. And I sort of covered it up here and put 8 of them next to each other, all in different colors. But it does a very simple task, but it takes a lot of different timings and redstones. And yeah, so let's walk you through it, shall we? So the first step, obviously, is we have to shear the wool, who's sort of trapped inside of this glass block. But once we shear the wool and we collect some of his wool, we will go ahead and push this button, and what that does is it cycles the sheep over to the right, and then it simply drops down. Okay, so now that the sheep is on the grass block down here, we're gonna go ahead and wait till he eats it. Once he eats it, that changes from a grass block into a dirt block, which the observer says, okay, we have an update. It sends a little pulse here, and then that simply triggers all these different repeaters and hoppers and droppers, and that sets off sort of a chain reaction to where the pistons push the sheep from down here up into the left and then put him inside of a glass block. This way he can't actually move or escape. He's sort of trapped in there, and then all we simply have to do is go around, shear him up where his little wool gets dropped on it, and then we push this button, and then that just does the complete opposite where it pushes him to the right, and then he drops down and he has to wait here until he eats another grass block. But here's where it gets a little complicated. So it's very easy to actually detect when this grass block changes, from a grass to a dirt, signaling that the sheep, has indeed eaten it. But what gets complicated is when this dirt block changes back to a grass block, it also sends out a pulse. And when it goes up and down, it also sends out a pulse. So I sort of made this thing here, it counts them up using these raw muttons and a dropper. And this way, once this thing actually reaches 23 raw muttons, signaling that that was the sheep eating the grass and that wasn't the grass turning into dirt, he will go ahead and get shot up and shot over to the left. That way we do indeed actually get only sheep that have eaten their grass blocks. But if they haven't eaten their grass blocks, they're just gonna chill. Oh, he ate it and he gets shot up. Awesome, that was so cool. And then we can shear him and send him back down. There you go, buddy. Waiting to eat again. That was like perfect timing. How did I do that? So yeah, it takes quite a bit of redstone and it's not too practical, but it's still just a fun design. It works great. And you know, I just think overall it's just a fun idea to actually build in a base. It's also extremely easy to collect the wool, considering you just run down in a straight line and you sort of just right click and suck them all up. Oh, this guy didn't actually grow his hair back. And then once you're done with them, you can send them back down into the depths of the grasslands. And it's also a bit laggy, especially on my machine. I'm not sure why. There are a lot of observer blocks and a lot of updating going around. Anyway, over here, I just got to thinking, you know, a very simple farm, just making it out of glass. If you guys were interested in some sort of design that, you know, looks pretty good and is extremely easy to collect their wool. You know, this one's even easier to collect their wool, and it pretty much does the same thing. It doesn't actually require any redstone. So if you guys were in your own survival world and you want to build, you know, somewhat of a more practical farm that didn't require a whole lot of redstone, it doesn't require any redstone either. Now, I didn't know this was possible, but grass can actually spread underneath of the glass, and then sheep that are trapped in glass, I also learned from building this farm, they can't escape, you know, they can't move around, they can't do anything, they're just chilling there. Not only that, but they can also eat the grass beneath them. So this creates, you know, a very simple farm where the sheep aren't going to be moving around, going all over the place. You know, they can eat as fast as they can chew, and all you gotta do to collect is like run right on top of them. You know, hold your right click, and you'll be good to go with wool. And you can put the sheep right next to each other if you really wanted to. So yeah, that's gonna be about it for this video. Hopefully you all have learned something about sheep farms, and maybe you can, you know, build this more practical design. Or if you all want to, I will provide a world download link to this cooler design in the description. You know, this design definitely makes you look a bit more smarter, a bit cooler, adds that pizzazz to anybody's base, and it works extremely well. Not only does it look amazing. There will be a world download link down in the description for anybody interested in actually building it. So if you want to build it for yourself, feel free to download it and you can sort of build it off of this model right here. All you gotta do is place them next to each other. Hey, the model actually produced a sheep ready to be sheared. All right, we'll send you back down there. There you go, have some fun, Mr. Sheepy. And yeah, I will see you all in another video.